6 months, 7 events, 14 races, and it has come down to the 14th and final race of the International GT Open season to crown our 2018 champion. We are in for a thriller here in Barcelona, the culmination of what has been an excellent season of competition. It's a very warm welcome from myself, Ben Evans, as you join us on a really lovely afternoon. 23 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, a little bit of a breeze, and a title fight which has come to the boil very, very nicely. It'd be a cliche to say you couldn't script it, because if you could, you'd script it like this. Because as we come into the final race of the year, it is Michael Mack who leads the championship on 112 points. And that puts him 8 points clear of the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW pairing of Andres Saravia and Fran Rueda, who are on 104 points. But the BMW starts from pole position. It was a phenomenal performance from Fran Rueda in qualifying this morning, and he took pole by the slenderest of margins from Imperiale Racing's Giovanni Venturini. The Luzic Racing Ferrari of Alessandro Pierguidi and Michael Mack, however, will start from 4th position. In terms of what Michael Mack needs to do, if he finishes in the top 4, then he is the champion. For the BMW pairing, they have to finish in the top 3 and hope that results really go against Pierguidi and Michael Mack in order to claim the championship. So ring car with Alessandro Pierguidi. There's 15 points to play with, and that 8-point deficit means that the top 4 finish for the Ferrari would be sufficient. But there is 60 minutes of racing to look forward to. There are 30 cars on the grid, and therefore really anything could happen, particularly as it was a thrilling qualifying session. Fran Rueda and Giovanni Venturini then showing the front row of the grid, ahead of the number 7 Teo Martin Motorsport BMW. That is the AM class entry car of Marcio Basso and Guilherme Salas. And they are on the second row with Pierguidi. Then the row 3, Lucas Oyer, the DTM racer, and Thomas Jaeger in DriveX and Lechner Mercedes, respectively, ahead of an all Imperiale Racing Lamborghini. Row 4, Raffaele Gianmaria and Riccardo Agostini. There is a real buzz down on the grid, getting ready in anticipation of this final race of the season. Thomas Jaeger, he was in the hunt for pole position. Always a very, very spectacular performer in the Lechner Racing Mercedes, and will certainly be a factor in the early stages of the race, because whilst there is obviously a championship to race for, there are also lots of teams and drivers looking for victory to finish the season on the high. There is also the small business as well, or rather not the small business, of the Pro-Am Championship to be resolved between Miguel Ramos and Fabrizio Crestani, the Pro-Am Championship leaders, and Valentin Pierberg and Tom Onslow Cole, their pursuers. Now, Valentin Pierberg lines up 23rd on the grid, Miguel Ramos 25th. So that is another battle to watch for. Meanwhile, this is what happened in qualifying. Fran Rueda left it till late, but found some absolutely sensational speed with just a few moments to go to put in the time that would prove to be good enough for pole position.
Battle for the title this afternoon in race 2. Yesterday you had some a difficult day, let's say like that, but everything is possible still.
Yeah, I mean, we're 8 points behind. We need we need something to happen, because in normal conditions, I think the Ferrari has a better chance. We have a 10-second handicap for the race, so yeah, let's see what happens, you know. Let's see. I'll try to pull a gap away. We have 10 seconds of handicap. Let's try to win the race and see where the Ferrari ends.
So that's the philosophy for Fran Rueda. try and take the win. Well, yesterday, the efforts to stretch the field got undermined a little bit by some ill-timed safety cars that really affected the drivers. The safety car was just before the pit window. Second on the grid then, Giovanni Venturini. He and Jerome Mull came into the weekend in championship contention, but they couldn't, despite finishing runners up yesterday, keep the fight live into today. Marcio Basso and Guilherme Salas sharing the Teo Marti Motorsport BMW. So Marcio Basso at the wheel of the BMW alongside Alessandro Pierguidi. So can Marcio Basso do anything to keep Pierguidi behind him in the early stages? This is what happened yesterday with Tom Onslow-Cole leading away from pole position. It's behind Marco Ciocci, who was, as ever, very good value, taking on Toby Sowry and Giovanni Venturini. Meanwhile, it was the Ombra Racing Lamborghini, Andrea Rizzoli and Damiano Fioravanti, which eventually emerged as the race winner. The car that took the flag on the track, the Rick Broikers Riccardo Agostini entry, a 5-second penalty from early in the race. This potentially a crucial move on the last lap of the race. Mikael Jensen to the inside of Alessandro Pierguidi, snatching a couple of points from the Ferrari. So the on-the-road winners demoted out of the podium, giving the win to Rizzoli and Fioravanti, Ombra Racing's first win of the season, ahead of Venturini and Mull, with Pierberg and Onslow-Cole completing the podium. So that was yesterday. Today we have got 60 minutes to look forward to. Cars about to head on to their formation lap now. Here is how they line up in full then. Fran Rueda and Giovanni Venturini on the front row of the grid. Marcio Basso and Alessandro Pierguidi on row 2. Row 3, Lucas Oyer and Thomas Jaeger. Row 4, and all Imperiale Racing. Row of Raffaele Gianmaria and Riccardo Agostini. Row 5, yesterday's race winner, Andrea Rizzoli and the ever-spectacular Daniele Diamato. Mikael Jensen and Senkia BMW alongside Michele Rugolo. Philip Deans and Juan Cruz Alvarez on row 7. Can Alvarez provide assistance to his teammate? Matt Griffin, likewise, out to support Pierguidi and Mack. Mateusz Lazowski and Kang Ling on row 9. Guilherme Borlenghi and Russell Ward, who complete the top 20. Renat Salakov and Stefano Constantini on the 11th row, with then Valentin Pierberg, Marcello Hahn, row 12. Now, crucially, Pierberg qualifying ahead of Miguel Ramos, his Pro-Am Championship rival, with Ollie Wilkinson in 26th, and then Giuseppe Cipriani and Christian Hook on row 14. And the field completed by Miguel Sardinia and Stanislav Jedlinski. It is a 60-minute race. There is the mandatory pit stop between the 24th and 36th minute. So that's about a 6-lap pit window. And one of the big questions, of course, coming to the race is what have the teams done with that allocation of Michelin tyres, because they will, some of them have 1 or 2 tricks up their sleeve. We in car there with Alessandro Pierguidi. He wasn't in Paul Ricard, and that is why it's Michael Mack who is fighting solo for the championship win in the Luzic Racing Ferrari. But from pole position, Fran Rueda has got the opportunity, certainly got the desire to try and stretch the field. That's the aim. But with 30 cars on the grid, events could be taken out of his hands a little bit. If we have an ill-timed safety car that bunches the pack up just before the pit window, somebody else comes to the fore at the front of the field. So we've got the overall championship, we've got the Pro-Am championship, both to be settled this afternoon, both poised on a knife edge. And both championships, we've got the car chasing the crown, qualifying ahead of the championship leader. Nothing more that the teams in the pit boxes can do now. It's all about the on-track action. The 14th and final race of the 2018 International GT Open about to get underway here. Circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya. It is going to be an adrenaline-filled 60 minutes as Fran Rueda paces the pack through turn 16. They will see the lights on the gantry. When they change from red to green, we will be going racing. And they're all poised and ready to go. And the lights go now. And who gets the jump? It's a very good start from Fran Rueda, but also well away is Venturini. We're in car with Mikel Mack as he pursues Venturini down towards turn 1. Now, where is Marcio Basso? He is to the inside of Pierguidi. Can he keep him behind him? That's what Basso's aiming to do. A little bit of contact. In fact, Alessandro Pierguidi is able to sneak through. There's problems behind, and it's Russell Ward who has gone around. Somebody else was hurtling wide going into turn 3. We're in car with Alessandro Pierguidi, and he is up into third, so he has cleared Basso. Because they were looking to do much the same. It's all very tight into turn 4. Front of the field all still running. Fran Rueda already trying to break away as Riccardo Agostini slips to the inside of Marcio Basso. A little bit of smoke rubbing somewhere. Possibly a touch or two of contact as Andrea Rizzoli eases past the BMW. Raffaele Gianria also looking for some somewhat non-existent space, and Mikkel Jensen as well. Andrea Rizzoli, Daniele Diamato rather, looking to do the same. And then Juan Cruz Alvarez. But here's the front of the field then. Rueda from Venturini and Alessandro Pierguidi. Everybody else fighting in the background. Somehow they're going to try and make it through turn 10. They all fan out around each other. And this is one of the more challenging laps of Marcio Basso's career. He's got cars swamped all over him. He's doing a very good job of defending his position and also making people work hard to get past him. As into the chicane, varying angles of attack. Fortunately, none of them involving too much in the way of contact. There's Valentin Pierberg right ahead of Miguel Ramos as Rueda comes through. His lead over Pierguidi, 1.3 seconds. As they head through turn 1. Fortunately, no yellow flags there, so the moment for Wingwood Racing Mercedes, a Russell Ward, appears to have resolved itself. This leading trio now breaking away from the brace of Mercedes. Comes Juan Cruz Alvarez, looking to the inside of Daniele Diamato. And Juan Cruz Alvarez will be hoping to try and get up towards the front of the field, do anything he can to support his teammate. Likewise, there's a trio of Lusit Racing Ferraris. Now, here's another look at everything that happened into turn 1. And actually, Russell Ward, just, I think, on the dirty part of the circuit, the rear of the car, snapping away from him. This is how it looked for Pierguidi. A little bit of a tap there from Basso, but Pierguidi just kept his foot in. Safely through the first corner. You see the tension there etched onto the face of the Lusit Racing team. So that is what the live championship position is. And as I say, Marcio Basso in trouble, and he's crunched into a wall there. Matteo Marti Motorsport BMW, and that's possibly going to bring out a safety car because he's in a pretty exposed position there on the way into turn 9, right at the edge of the circuit. The rest of the field filtering through to complete the second lap of the race, and Fran Rueda, who's not really able to stretch clear from Pierguidi at the moment. The leading trio covered by just a solitary second. They thunder through on the brakes towards turn 1. Plenty of jostling going on behind. Alessandro Pierguidi stays where he is. That is going to give great opportunity to propel Mikel Mack towards the title. Mack, who has won 4 times this year, versus the 3 victories, the Teo Marti Motorsport BMW pairing. Now, Venturini starting to challenge a little bit. The safety car is on standby. There is Marcio Basso's car. Good to see the drivers out of the cockpit. That's the main thing. And the safety car is out. So the safety car has been scrambled. Now, let's see what happened. car just snapped around on Basso and not into the wall quite as hard as I'd initially feared, but frustration nonetheless. So the safety car out. And this is exactly what Fran Rueda wouldn't have wanted, because in just a 60-minute race, the pit window will be open when there are 36 minutes left on the clock, which is less than 20 minutes time. Therefore, his opportunity to stretch the field being somewhat reduced. Now in the Pro-Am Championship, the way that is currently positioned is that in order for Ramos and Cristani to be toppled, it requires Valentin Pierberg and Tom Onslow-Cole to finish in the top 3 in the Pro-Am class. And that does potentially aid Pierberg and Onslow-Cole. But at the same time, not only do they need to finish in the top 3, they also need Ramos and Cristani to finish out of the points as well. If it's a third place finish, if it's a second place finish, then Ramos and Cristani are in the points. It's not the end of the world. So lots of considerations. The order then: Fran Rueda from Venturini, Alessandro Pierguidi, then Lucas Auer. So 4 different marks in the top 4 places. Thomas Jaeger in 5th, Riccardo Agostini 6th, ahead of Andrea Rizzoli and Raffaele Giammaria. Mikel Jensen in 9th, Daniele Diamato completing the top 10. Hopefully this is going to be a relatively brief introduction for the safety car. So here is Miguel Ramos, the Pro-Am Championship leader, 24th overall at the moment. And in the Pro-Am class, he is in 8th or 9th place. He and Fabrizio Cristani have been in the points every single race this year in the Pro-Am class, and that means that they would have to drop points if they finished in the points today. At the same time, their worst possible position would be that they would be claiming 2 points from today's race pretty much whatever happens, because that's the lowest point score of the season, which came at the Hungaroring. So the safety car, it is going to be just a 1-lap safety car intervention. Kelmac watching from the pit wall. Alessandro Pierguidi is one of the very, very best in the world at doing this. He knows that if he can keep Fran Rueda in sight, keep the Lusit Racing Ferrari up at the sharp end of the field, that's pretty much all that he needs to do in order to support Mikel Mack to the championship. Fran Rueda waiting for the motor to pull the pin in the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW. And I think he's going to do it as he comes through the chicane. Looks to plant his right foot now, and he gets back up to racing speed. Giovanni Venturini goes with him as field swing out of turn 16 and on their way, thundering down the start and finish straight. And there's always a good opportunity for positions to change as Venturini bobs and weaves behind Rueda. Meanwhile, Mikel Jensen looking to make the move on Raffaele Giammaria. Giammaria having absolutely none of it, defends very well into turn 1. And it puts Jensen into the clutches of Daniele Diamato almost immediately. Ollie Wilkinson just slithering a little bit wide. That puts him under pressure from Stefano Constantini. As Venturini really is looking to challenge for the victory here and is threatening Fran Rueda, because the Aprilia Racing Lamborghini, Venturini and Jerome Mull, they've been second so many times. Here Venturini goes for the move, elbows Fran Rueda aside and takes the lead of the race. And Giovanni Venturini pulls the pin. And now Fran Rueda has got a fight on his hands. Can he stay with the Lamborghini? As Venturini accelerates through turn 9, Rueda is now under immediate pressure from Alessandro Pierguidi. So for Pierguidi, does he stick or twist at this point? Keeping the BMW in sight is what he needs to do. Here's another look at it, and Venturini, taking no prisoners, saw a gap. It was sort of 7/8 of a Lamborghini Huracan's width, and that was enough for the Italian driver. Through he goes. Here's how it felt for Fran Rueda. And there wasn't an awful lot he could do. Mid-corner, the Lamborghini already alongside. Reaction in the Teo Marti Motorsport pit. One to disappoint, but also there's a long way to go. That said, we're over 10 minutes into the race. As the field stream down the start straight again towards the opening sequence of turns. Thomas Jaeger sets the fastest lap of the race. As he pursues the DriveX Mercedes. In fact, Giovanni Venturini now sets the fastest lap of the race, released into clear air in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini. And Venturini looking to disappear if he can. In terms of his season so far, Giovanni Venturini, he and Jerome Mull have finished in second place on 6 occasions, but they have not had that elusive race win. So in terms of the Drivers' Championship, well, it now a second place finish for Rueda and Saravia. That would require the Lusit Racing Ferrari to be lower than 7th, based on the way the race is currently unfolding. It's not looking all that likely, but there are still the pit stops, there are still the pit handicaps to work through. In the Pro-Am class, Valentin Pierberg making good progress. He's up to 21st position in pursuit of Ollie Wilkinson. The Ultimate Motorsport Audi. Venturini jinks through the chicane to complete the 6th lap of the race. Behind, Rueda and Pierguidi latched together. Riccardo Agostini in 6th, trying to make progress in pursuit of Thomas Jaeger. Andrea Rizzoli behind in 7th. He's got Raffaele Gianria in pursuit. Then Mikel Jensen in 9th. Daniele Diamato completing the top 10 and under pressure from Juan Cruz Alvarez, who looks like the move. Goes one side, then the other. But the braking zone into turn 1 is deceptive. These cars with the ABS braking and the aero can get on the brakes remarkably late, and that is what happened there. And Diamato, we've seen time and time again this year, is not an easy man to overtake. But as Juan Cruz Alvarez goes on the attack, he's also got Matt Griffin and Michele Rugolo in the other 2 Lusit Racing Ferraris lined up behind him. So that is going to certainly sharpen his focus. Meanwhile, oh, that is Valentin Pierberg bouncing across the curbs. Also Marcello Hahn, and that is a place gained for Miguel Ramos. So in the Pro-Am Championship, Ramos just 1 position now behind Valentin Pierberg, as Giovanni Venturini leads the way from Fran Rueda and Alessandro Pierguidi. Gaggle of cars behind, all running in tandem. Pit window opens in 10 minutes time, and that will be where the element of strategy starts to come into play a little bit. Fran Rueda trying to build this buffer over Alessandro Pierguidi. At the moment, it's just not working for him. Pierguidi 7/10 of a second adrift, and he just needs to stay there. Crucially though, the pace they're setting is enough now to shake off the DriveX Mercedes, as Giulio Borlenghi has a moment coming through the final turn. It's going to be his Vincenzo Sospiri Racing teammate, Kang Ling, who will take advantage of it. But the safety car means that the entire field is very, very closely matched. Borlenghi goes side by side with Mateusz Lazowski. Almost contact between them. Renat Salakov, part of this group as well, in the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari. They have also got Philip Deans just behind them as well. And crucially, all the way down to 19th place, they are covered by just some 12 seconds. And that is the safety car. It's the strength of depth in this field as well. It means once you bring handicaps into the mix, it starts to look very close. Here's another at that, and fortunately, no contact between the Audi and the Lamborghini. So this huge field of supercars makes an absolutely magnificent spectacle as the tension continues to ramp up. It's Lucas Auer who leads the Pro-Am class at the moment, with Thomas Jaeger just behind him. Third in the Pro-Am class at the moment, then is Raffaele Gianmaria in 8th place. Fran Rueda in 2nd. He's now almost 2.5 seconds adrift of Giovanni Venturini. He's only half a second clear of Alessandro Pierguidi, and Pierguidi, just look at the steering wheel at the bottom left of your picture. Just a single progressive turn from Pierguidi, no correction whatsoever, and making it just look extraordinarily smooth. As Venturini sets another fastest lap of the race, and is beginning to build that buffer over Fran Rueda. .6 seconds it is now. Pierguidi just riding in behind Rueda. The Pro-Am podium is going to be absolutely fascinating because the DriveX and the Racing Mercedes, they've got the pro drivers in for the first half of the race. And then, and the same actually with Raffaele Gianmaria, 3rd in the class, but then whether or not those cars will fade a little bit later on, particularly as with that safety car, it does give a window to some of the pro drivers taking over for the second half. So that is going to be worth keeping an eye on as well. Pierguidi just closing up onto radar, onto braking, showing himself in his mirrors. There's Andres Saravia getting ready for job in hand. Drive-through penalty to Renat Salakov. That is for causing a collision. I presume that was possibly the with Marcio Basso. Couldn't quite see from the angle that we had exactly what had happened. Oh, lovely shot there. The Portiero Motorsport Mercedes. Philippe Dean's at the wheel, just grinding against the curb. So Venturini now leading by almost 3 seconds from Fran Rueda. Alessandro Pierguidi right with him. The checker flag would come out now. It would be the title for Michael Mack. Just based on this weekend, it was a remarkable job from Rueda to get the pole position for this race, but you do feel with an 8-point deficit to overhaul, it's going to require some bad luck for the Luzic Racing Ferrari squad as much as what Red and Saravia can do at the wheel of the BMW. Kelly Rugolo coming under pressure now from Alberto Di Fulco in the Target Racing Lamborghini. They're jostling over 13th and 14th. They've got Kang Ling just behind them as well. Then Mateusz Lisowski. Yulin Racing Audi. Fulco just trying to hustle the car fractions of a second quicker out of turn 8, looking to pressurise Michele Rugolo. It's limited joy on that occasion. Likewise, Matt Griffin behind Juan Cruz Alvarez, trying to force the move as the Olymp Audi looks to the inside of Kang Ling into turn 10. And I think he might go through here. Mateusz Lisowski does. Pushes Ling out wide, and Kang Ling has to concede the place. So that is enough for 15th position. The Olymp Racing Audis look really good this weekend, particularly the 77 car has been right up there. It's good to see the Target Racing Lamborghini number 90 on the grid today, because that car retired in flames yesterday with Adrian Zaug at the wheel. So in terms of the field spread, well, it's still the top 18 cars separated by just 17 seconds. Another look at the move then from Mateusz Lisowski to the inside. Kang Ling, who tried to defend it as hard as he could, but he really struggling to do too much without causing problems. as Renat Salikov serves the drive-through penalty, rejoins, but he is jettisoned right to the back of the field, so that's going to give David Perel some work to do later on. 1/3 race distance, Giovanni Venturini leading the final race of the International GT Open season. He is 3.3 seconds clear of Fran Rueda. Second position, the championship leading car, Visit Racing Ferrari, Alessandro Pierguidi is there in third. If it stays in third, then Michael Mack will be our 2018 champion. Behind Gravis Mercedes, Lucas Sauer is heading a great scrap in the Pro-Am class from Thomas Jaeger. They are being pursued by Riccardo Agostini and Andrea Rizzoli, with then Raffaele Giammaria and Mikkel Jensen next along. So jinking through the chicane. Pierguidi pursuing Fran Rueda. The pit window opens in just 3 minutes' time, so that will serve to jumble the field up a little bit in the Pro-Am Championship. If things would stay as they are, then Miguel Ramos and Fabrizio Cristani would be champions. The AM Championship went the way of Giulio Borlenghi and Andrei Lewandowski yesterday. Vincenzo Sospiri Racing. So in the autumnal sunshine, front of the field, pound through turn 3. This is the fight for second between the two titled protagonists. Pierguidi is just there, watching, waiting, trying to force Rader into a mistake. He's not going to risk the car going for a move. No point in jeopardising things unnecessarily. All of that is allowing Giovanni Venturini to disappear in the lead of the race. There's the Umbra Racing Lamborghini, Andrea Rizzoli, who claimed victory yesterday. He and Damiano Fioravanti exploiting an excellent qualifying session to very, very good effect. Mikkel Jensen, Richard Gonda, likewise in the Senkia BMW, been there or thereabouts all weekend. So this is that stage of the race, isn't it, where everybody is applying the pressure, but simultaneously trying to balance the desire to move up through the field, but also just wanting to set good lap times, stretch the pack a little bit, and then see how the race unlocks over the latter stages. As I said, Thomas Jaeger beginning to, well, he's been applying pressure all the while in the Leckner Mercedes. He can't get past the DriveX car just at the moment. He's not going to be near enough to do so either into turn 1. Doesn't even attempt to do so, but this brace of cars, with the pro drivers at the wheel, Moyer and Jaeger, you'd expect them to be staying out until the last knockings of the pit window, so they may well be elevated up into the lead of the race effectively. Likewise, Raffaele Giammaria and Michele Rugolo will stay out there. Others will duck into the pits at the earliest opportunity, which will be at the end of this lap. It's a 12-minute pit window until there's 24 minutes left on the clock from when we tip Neath 36 minutes. So by the time they get round to the line next time around, that will be the opportunity for a flurry of activity to be initiated. Already can see several of the teams coming out onto the pit apron, getting ready to make early pit stops as once more Pierguidi closes up to Fran Rueda, under braking into turn 10. Rueda absorbing the pressure, but he's not been able to get more than the half seconds advantage over Pierguidi. Here's the race leader, then Giovanni Venturini, as the pit window is opened, and Venturini is accelerating on his way. As into the pit lane now comes Fran Rueda. So Rueda and the Teo Martin Motorsport team getting their pit stop out of the way at the first opportunity. He slows the car down, get to the pit lane speed limit. Andres Saravia is ready and waiting for him. Also into the pit lane, Riccardo Agostini to pass over to Rick Roykers and Andrea Rizzoli for Damiano Fioravanti. That Griffin, Marco Ciocci, Adrian Zhao will take over from Alberto Di Folco. So quite a few of the pro combinations taking advantage of an early pit stop, chance to maybe bolt on a fresh set of tyres and also get out of traffic a little bit into some clear air. For Giovanni Venturini, well, he is in clear air at the moment. He doesn't need to worry about just finding a gap in the traffic. And with a lead of, that's about 5.5 seconds now. Also in the switch in the sporting new Mercedes, Manuel da Costa and Miguel Sardinia. So that pit stop underway as Giovanni Venturini, well, he earned Jerome Moll. They have got some success handicap from yesterday as Alain Cadet gets strapped in to the private Mercedes that he's taken over from Marcello Hahn, as Andres Saravia emerges from the pits and crucially emerges onto the track into some clear air, but with a 10-second penalty, you can see that already they are behind Rick Breukers. There is Breukers, and there is Saravia. So here come the rest of them, and Onslow Cole has emerged from the pits just ahead of Fabrizio Crestani. So that, and with Venturini slotting between the middle of them, so that is going to be fascinating in the Pro-Am Championship, as Michael Mack will now take over from Alessandro Pierguidi. The Luzic Racing mechanics for the last time this year get to work. They'll complete the pit stop as quickly as possible, but as unhurriedly as possible as well, and then wait out the time remaining in the pits as Pierguidi straps Mack in. So here is Onslow Cole. Just behind him is Fabrizio Crestani. They're fighting for the Pro-Am Championship. They've got Giovanni Venturini, the race leader between the pair of them. And so all the plot lines coming together at once. Now Venturini, you'd imagine, is going to be delayed enormously by Onslow Cole. Onslow Cole will have the frustration, though, of Crestani right with him. And he needs to try and gap that group as Indy Doncia will take over from Russell Ward. Winwood Racing HTP Motorsport Mercedes. With the reptilian livery, as out of the pit lane now comes Michael Mack, and crucially, he is some way ahead of Andres Saravia on the road. Probably 8 seconds, maybe a little bit more than that. And therefore, if Michael Mack can keep in front of the BMW, then he is going to be the 2018 champion. It's going to require the driver's life here from Saravia to try and reel in and pass the Ferrari. And it's not just the track position, it's also the time deficit, because as Mack came through, he is 9 seconds ahead of Andres Saravia. It's Michael Mack, 32 minutes. If he stays out of trouble, that should be sufficient, because even if neither he nor Saravia actually score points today with an 8-point advantage, that's perfectly okay if you're Michael Mack. Giovanni Venturini continuing in the lead of the race. Here is Rick Breukers. 4.6 seconds, his deficit to Michael Mack in Pirelli Racing Lamborghini. Now, the big question is where Jerome Mull is going to feed out into all of this post-pit stops. There are others who will potentially get into the mix as well. But the pace that Venturini has set has served to spread the field a little bit. Matteo Martin Motorsport team from the pit wall, there's nothing more that they can do now. It's all about whether Saravia can reel in Michael Mack as Toby Sowry pops into the Daiko Lazarus Lamborghini that has been vacated by Giuseppe Cipriani. David Perel is also in for Rinat Salakov. So of those that have had their pit stop, it is Michael Mack who is effectively the race leader. And could he and Pierguidi finish the season on high with a race win? certainly in terms of pit handicaps, this could work out quite nicely for the Zit Racing Ferrari. As the sun glints off the Ferrari, headlights ablaze from Michael Mack. There is the deficit to Andres Saravia as Daniele Diamato comes in to hand over to Andrea Montermini. So Saravia has got 9 seconds to close up on Michael Mack, and based on Saravia's last lap, he wants to go down. He's going to need Mack to be in the high 146-second bracket, if not a bit more. Lorenzo Berau de Viega, Juan Cruz Alvarez. Swap places as well. Gozierets to take over from Stanislav Jedlinski. So all change in the pits. Michael Mack, this is going to be his first flying lap. Rick Breukers, who is pursuing him, is really flying. So Michael Mack comes past with a 1:46.0. Breukers sets the fast lap of the race, a 1:45.4. And Andres Saravia in pursuit, a 1:46.4. So out of the pit lane comes Andrea Montermini. That's good news for Andres Saravia, because he is ahead of the RS Racing Ferrari of Andrea Montermini. So at least that's one fewer car that's potentially going to delay him. But Mack can, with the 9-second buffer, just keep things fairly measured to Saravia. The only question mark here is going to be the progress of Rick Breukers, because the rate of capture that Breukers has been undertaking, as meanwhile, here is still the battle for the Pro-Am lead. Lucas Oyer and Thomas Jaeger, half a second between them, as there has been throughout the course of the race. They are, unsurprisingly, staying out until fairly deep in the pit window. Gia Maria is out of the car for Jiatong Liang. Also, Richard Gonda takes over from Mikkel Jensen. So the Senkia team service the BMW. I think this brace of Mercedes, they might be able to sneak one more lap if they fancy it. Giovanni Venturini also continuing in the lead of the race. And Venturini is now 10 seconds clear of this battle for the Pro-Am lead. So Venturini has done a great job through this pit window, just locking into a groove. He's setting lap times consistent with those that have had their pit stops. Rick Breukers sets another fast lap of the race, 1:45.3, and Breukers is now 3.1 seconds back from Michael Mack. Given the championship context, you wonder just how hard Mack is going to fight to keep Breukers behind him. Certainly doesn't want to risk the car. There is Tom Onslow Cole, Giovanni Venturini there, and Onslow Cole has been able to break away a little bit from Fabrizio Cristani. The thing is, though, that Cristani, although he's a couple of cars back in terms of track position, he's only one place back in the Pro-Am class. And that wouldn't really be sufficient. It's Christian Hahn about to jump in place of Lucas Oyer. So another very well-managed pit stop from the DriveX team. Christian Hahn making the step up to the International GT Open this weekend as Andrei Lewandowski does battle with Fabrizio Cristani, and in the background, Dominic Schwager trying to pursue the Daiko Lazarus Lamborghini, and Lewandowski almost chops across the bows there of Fabrizio Cristani, and the last thing that Cristani would want is to finish this race in the gravel trap. So you have to bide his time. At the same time, look in the background, you've got Alain Cadet and Dominic Schwager looming large onto the tail of the Lazarus Lamborghini. If they were to find a way past, then that might aid Onslow Cole in his pursuit of the Pro-Am Championship. So here's Rick Breukers pursuing Michael Mack. Now this is effectively the battle for the lead of the race or for second and third, depending on where the Venturini mole car feeds out post pit stops. Rick Broikers just 2.9 seconds back from Michael Mack. Andres Saravia, meanwhile, is slipping adrift of them all the while. And now into the pit lane, the race leader, Giovanni Venturini. Jerome Mull waits to take over from him. Will this be the day that the Andrade team take the win? Well, with a fairly chunky pit handicap, despite the best efforts of Venturini to gap the field, I think that car's going to feed out a little bit lower down the order. Meanwhile, Mario Plasciuta takes over from Thomas Jaeger. So the last flurry of pit stops completed, and now it is going to be a race to the flag. Here is Jiatong Liang. He's got Montermini, Marco Ciocci, Lorenzo Beirao de Viega, all queued up behind him. Also Phil Keane and Damiano Fiorvanti part of this group. And Fiorvanti looking to the inside of Phil Keane. Oh, he crunches into the side of Lorenzo Beirao de Viega. More unfortunate luck for Lorenzo Beirao de Viega. And Fiorvanti went for a move that was always very, very optimistic. Beirao wouldn't have seen him. Turned across and got thumped. Now is the BMW going to be able to recover? Here's another look at it. And that, a fairly hefty hit. Now, if Lorenzo Beirao de Viega can't get back up to speed as the shooter emerges ahead of Christian Hahn, then we might see the safety car coming out again. Meanwhile, Marco Ciocci desperate to get past Andrea Montermini. Now, you may recall that they have previous from yesterday. They're all trying to squeeze past Jiatong Liang, and Jerome Mull emerges into the middle of this squabble. So, quite... Oh, and there's Fiorvanti, who has ground to a halt as well. So a disappointing end to the season for yesterday's race winner. And this is remarkably good defending, you'd have to say, for Jiatong Liang, with Montermini and Ciocci desperate to get through, because their next target, 5.5 seconds up the road, is Andres Saravia. And certainly the Luzic racing man, Ciocci, would be keen to overhaul Saravia if he possibly could. Well, Lorenzo Beirao de Viega is into the pit lane. Also in is Mateusz Zalski. As Liang still defending, doing a great job defending from Montermini. The group of cars up ahead, Mario Plasciuta just ahead of Andres Saravia. Christian Hahn, part of that as well. No safety car for the recovery is Ciocci to the inside of Montermini. Now, Andrea Montermini won't want to give this to Marco Ciocci, but he has no option. So they're heading to the chicane, they're overlapping with each other, jinking through, but Ciocci makes the move stick. So the order, with all the pit stops now completed, is Michael Mack is the race leader, Rick Broikers second, Christian Hahn is third, leading the Pro-Am class, from Mario Plasciuta, and then Andres Saravia next along. And then it's this titanic scrap as Phil Keane looks to the inside of Andrea Montermini, thinks better of it. Jerome Mull trying to find a way through it all as well. And indeed he does, to the inside of Phil Keane through turn 3. Keane now busy defending from Richard Gonda. So Michael Mack, the championship leader, leading the race. Rick Broikers, though, in hot pursuit. Now just 1.9 seconds back, and we've still got a third of the race to go. In terms of the Pro-Am Championship, at the moment, both Onslow Cole and Crestani are not in a position... Well, the current positioning would be that Crestani and Ramos would win the Pro-Am Championship, and there are a lot of cars and a lot of seconds that Onslow Cole needs to make up, but it's possible, just about possible, that he could do it. So we've got to fight for the lead. We have got a potential swing in the Pro-Am Championship if Onslow Cole can work something of a miracle. But for Mikkel Mack, the overall championship leader, out front, chasing his 5th victory of the season. He's got Rick Breukers behind him. Breukers, the Imperiale Racing team, the Italian squad, they've been so strong all year, but they're yet to get onto the top step of the podium. And this, the last chance to do so. Meanwhile, we have a look over at the chicane. Oh, and a tag on Andrea Montermini from Jerome Mull. And around goes the RS Racing Ferrari. Also running a little bit wide there, Marco Ciocci trying every which way to get past Jiatong Liang, who is defending with quite some vigour here. He's making it very difficult. And why not? This is a good opportunity for Liang to get onto the Pro-Am podium. The driver has been getting better and better as the year has gone on. Ciocci and Keane, both anxious to make this move and then try and apply a little bit of pressure maybe to Andres Saravia. Saravia, meanwhile, has gone up into 4th place. He's past Mario Plasciuta. His next target is Christian Hahn. It's towards turn 10. They all fan out under braking again. Ciocci contemplates a move on the Lamborghini. Nothing doing. So in terms of the championship, well, there you have it. Mack would be moving quite some way clear. Now, the Christian Hahn car, and this is important for both the overall and the Pro-Am Championship, isn't actually a points scoring or blocking car. It's a one-off entry for this weekend. So in terms of points now, Onslow Cole is up to 5th in the Pro-Am points, 6th in the Pro-Am race. But at the same time, it also means that Fabrizio Cristani, even though he's 7th of the Pro-Am runners, is in a position to net 6th. So Rick Breukers now all over Mikkel Mack. And now this, a really tough call for the Lusit Racing team. Mikkel Mack is a racing driver. He can't really afford to back off. That's when the mistakes start to come in. At the same time, if it were to end in tears, there was a misjudgment making the move from either Mack or Breukers, then that would elevate Andres Saravia effectively to P1 and would hand the title to the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW. So lots at play here. And Rick Breukers, he's reeled in Mack fairly rapidly. He's now right with him. Don't forget, Breukers and Agostini, they were the car that took the checker flag on the road yesterday. 5-second penalty incurred at the start, though, for Breukers, coupled with the late safety car. Saw them shuffled off the podium, but they've had the pace all weekend. It's Mikkel Mack accelerating through. Still just shy of 17 minutes left in this race. Across the line he comes then. 0.4 of a second clear of Rick Breukers. Towards turn 1. Breukers not able to ease past at this point on the track. Then up through turn 3. On towards turn 4. Mack at the moment, he's just sticking to the racing line, making Breukers do all the hard work. Breukers looks to try and get the overlap through turn 4, down towards turn 5. This is the opportunity for Breukers, as now Mack has to defend. He puts the car in the middle of the road. He wants this win. So does Rick Breukers. Lamborghini just seems a little bit sprightlier at this stage of the race. Possibly they were able to hold a set of tyres back for today, or it's just a little bit kinder on the Michelin rubber. Either way, Breukers in clear air is able to lap about half a second quicker than Mikkel Mack relatively consistently. What they don't have to worry about, though, is what's going on behind them, because Christian Hahn in 3rd place is actually lapping at pretty much exactly the same sort of pace as Andres Saravia, and they are now case of Hahn, 12 seconds back from this fight for the lead. Saravia, some 15 seconds back. They don't need to worry about slowing themselves down too much. Meanwhile, in the Pro-Am class, Onslow Cole has found a way past Alex West. His next target is Jiatong Liang. Here is a look at Marco Ciocci and Liang. And Ciocci running a little bit wide. That has possibly got him a reprimand for track limits. Here, meanwhile, is the fight for the lead of the race. Got quite a few team managers summoned to race control with immediate effect. None of them, though, the front runners in this race. As again, this is the section of the circuit where Rick Broik is able to draw alongside the Ferrari, and he does so once more. It's going to be side by side down towards turn 5. Mack looks to edge out Broikers. Broikers looks for traction at turn 5. Can he then get cut back through to turn 6? This is the opportunity for Rick Broikers, but defending is Mikael Mack. So Mack really wants to seal this championship with a victory. And now this is where it is a real dilemma for Mikael Mack. So far, he has defended brilliantly. Rick Broikers is also fighting very clean. He's looking to press and probe, but he's not gone for any lunges. We've got an accident over at turn 2, or at least a yellow flag. We'll find out what that is in a moment. As the race leaders through turn 12, and Broikers, the Lamborghini, it's just these mid-speed, long radius corners where he's able to put all sorts of pressure on the Luzic Racing Ferrari of Mikael Mack. Mack, however, through, and another lap reeled off. This is the 25th lap of the race completed. 13 minutes and 20 seconds left to go as they pound down the home stretch once more. Downhill into turn 1. So we've got yellow flags over at turns 1, 2 and 3. We'll try and ascertain. Oh, that is the reason why. It's Mario Plasciuta in the Lettner Racing Mercedes. There you see it in the back of the picture, who has had a spin, it would appear, on the exit of turn 2. Looks like we're going to have a live recovery rather than the safety car, which is good news. And again, it's through turns 4 and 5 where Broikers is so strong relative to Mack, and Broikers knows his best opportunity is to try and slip to the inside at turn 5. Mack, though, determined to defend it. Broikers is going to go for it. Oh, but he squeezes Mikael Mack. But Rick Broikers goes through. He takes the lead of the race. Mikael Mack, he thought about shutting the door, thought better of it. And the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini leads the way. Smiles on the pit wall. And that was a beautifully executed move from Rick Broikers. He had been rehearsing it for a couple of laps. Went through. Now here is what happened to Mario Plasciuta. Oh, and it was an entanglement, in fact, with Matthias Lazowski. And both cars in trouble. The Audi going for what appears from that angle to have been quite an optimistic manoeuvre. Here, another look at that move for the lead. And, oh, it came precariously close there to a little bit of contact. Delight for Imperiale Racing. And now that Broikers is through, can he pull clear of Mikael Mack? The evidence to date suggests that yes, he can. So now, the Pro-Am Championship. Crikey, this is going to be very close. Tom Onslow Cole is up to 3rd on the road in the Pro-Am class. However, Christian Hahn, don't forget, is not scoring points. So Onslow Cole is on course for 8 points in the Pro-Am class. He and Valentin Pierberg to claim the championship. By my reckoning then, Ramos and Cristani would need to finish 4th or lower in the class. At the moment, in terms of the points playing places, Fabrizio Cristani is on for 3 points. But where it gets complicated here is the drop score factor. So Christian Hahn leads the race in the Pro-Am class. He's 3rd overall as well, doing a really great job in the DriveX Mercedes. And Andres Saravia not able to make all that much ground onto his tail. In terms of the points then in the Pro-Am class, it's Bradley Ellis who is leading the points in the Pro-Am class. Second in the points is Onslow Cole. Third is Liang. Fourth is West. Fifth is Schwager. And sixth is Fabrizio Cristani. And so Pierberg and Onslow Cole, that put them on to 78 points. It would put Ramos and Cristani also on 78 points, but then they would have to drop 2 with the dropped score, and that would give Pierberg and Onslow Cole the title, as here's Andrea Montermini to the inside of Alexander West. So all sorts of considerations at play. Meanwhile, leading the way is Rick Breukers, almost a second now clear of Mikkel Mack. But Mack can just stay there, content in the knowledge that that is going to be enough to secure him the championship. Andres Saravia, meanwhile, continues to pursue Christian Hahn. If anything were to befall Mikkel Mack, then that, at the moment, Andres Saravia would be sufficiently placed to wrestle the championship away from him. So the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW, while they can't quite get the advantage on track that maybe they'd hoped for after qualifying, what they have been able to do is place the car that if anything were to go wrong for Mikkel Mack, then it would be enough to give the BMW the title. So 2-second time penalties for Andrea Montermini and Jiatong Liang for pit handicaps. As we follow Christian Hahn. Meanwhile, Fabrizio Cristani, the Pro-Am Championship leader, is coming under all world of pressure, it would appear, from the timing screen of the sister drive ex-Mercedes of Alam Kader. And if Kader was to find a way through past Cristani, then that would almost certainly hand the Pro-Am Championship to Tom Onslow Cole. So lots to consider. Meanwhile, the fight for third is coming together now. Saravia is now consistently about a second a lap quicker than Christian Hahn, who came steaming out of the blocks. May have just pushed his tyres a little bit too hard. 8 minutes to go. The final race of the International GT Open season. On the road, Mikkel Mack has done enough to secure the championship, provided that the next few minutes pass without drama. However, if anything were to go wrong, then the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW of Andres Saravia and Fran Rueda would be perfectly placed to pick up the crown. Can Christian Hahn, however, hold on? Meanwhile, this is a superb scrap going on for fifth. Marco Ciocci from Richard Gonda. Then it's Bradley Ellis, Phil Keane, Jerome Mull and Tom Onslow Cole. This group of cars all running close contention, so Bradley Ellis just ahead of Phil Keane, but Marco Ciocci, who's put in one of his effervescent performances this afternoon, flying at the wheel of the Luzic Racing Ferrari. Into fifth and ready to capitalise again if anything were to go wrong. Certainly he'd be hoping to apply a little bit of pressure to Andres Saravia, but he's 11 seconds back from Saravia. We've got a drive-through penalty for Jerome Mull for causing a collision after that contact with Andrea Montermini. So Giovanni Ventrini having led the way early on. He and Jerome Mull, fortunately, are going to finish the season out of the points. Oh, and more problems. Andrea Montermini and Adrian Zaug have had some sort of coming together over at turn 10. Both of them have recovered. Now what happens? Zaug to the inside of Montermini. Oh, Montermini turned in, not sure he saw Zaug there. They touch, they spin, they both recover. Into turns 1 and 2. Chiocci still busy defending from the BMW. We've got a yellow flag over at turn 11. It's Adrian Zhao who recovered, but only for so long. Here is Tom Onslow-Cole. Now, the Pro-Am Championship, there are so many different factors in play here, because Fabrizio Crestani of the points places is currently 6th, and that would be enough to give Onslow-Cole and Valentin Pierberg the title. But Crestani is rapidly reeling in Chietong Liang and Alexander West. If he can overhaul one of them, then that, I think, would swing the... Would it swing the title back in their favour? We see it be very, very close indeed. Meanwhile, Andres Saravia has got to within the second of Christian Hahn, struggling to make much more progress than that. So 4.5 minutes to run. Yellow flag through this section of the track, so none of them able to overtake. And Chiocci will be quite glad of that. I think he's thoroughly enjoying this scrap with Richard Gonda. So at the moment, in the Pro-Am class, Tom Onslow-Cole, Valentin Pierberg is into the pit lane, so his drive-through penalty. Jerome Mull are headed for 8 points. Ramos and Crestani are currently headed for 2 points, plus the 2 that they've got to drop, as now Gonda looks to the inside. Chiocci, and he's going to go, oh, contact! And Chiocci turns across Richard Gonda. He's determined not to let this go, Marco Chiocci. Eventually he has to do so. And that now feeds Bradley Ellis into the mix as well. And Phil Keane. And drive-through penalty for Mateusz Zalski for causing a collision. That would be the incident with Mario Plaszuta, which eliminated the Mercedes from the race. And now Chiocci under pressure from Bradley Ellis, and he has to concede. Also, Phil Keane elbows his way through as well. And elbows the Ferrari aside. Onslow-Cole flashes his headlights, suggests Marco Chiocci that he might like to move over. So there's another battle just behind, headed by the 71 Ferrari of Alex West, that we've not seen, which might well determine the outcome of the Pro-Am Championship. We've got lots of groups of cars running very, very closely around the circuit, as Onslow-Cole looks to the inside of Marco Chiocci, and the Ferrari driver has to concede to the Mercedes. It's up to 9th place overall now for Tom Onslow-Cole. Or 8th place, rather, now he's past Chiocci. So here's the battle for 3rd and 4th between Christian Hahn and Andres Saravia. And they're not particularly being caught by the fight for 5th that we've been watching. So it's between these two to determine the outcome of the final podium position of the season. As they battle, there is a titanic scrap going on in the Pro-Am class at the moment for about 10th position overall. About to come past the start and finish line. And that is very significant, because I think that Alex West has lost lots of ground. Indeed he has, and that therefore elevates Fabrizio Crestani up to 5th in the points positions in the Pro-Am class. So Ramos and Crestani would be, once you've got drop scores, down to 77 points. That would still give Onslow-Cole and Pierberg Pro-Am on, as it is very, very, very tight, as the fight for 3rd hits the braking zone for turn 10. The front of the field, by the way, Rick Breukers leads still by 4.3 seconds. He is about to start the last lap of the race. So the clock is very much ticking here for Andres Saravia to find a way past Christian Hahn. Here comes Michael Mack. Rick Breukers already through onto the last lap. Breukers and Riccardo Agostini, they've been getting ever more consistent at the front of the field as the season has unfolded. But here is Michael Mack. He's just over 4 kilometres away from the 2018 International GT Open title. The Luzic Racing team, they came out of the blocks on fire at the start of the season, racking up the early victories, and that has propelled Mikael Mak into what is ultimately looking like it's going to be an unassailable championship position. Just a few corners to go. As Breukers picks his way uphill through turns 7 and 8. Into turn 9. This is the sort of lap that for both Breukers and Mak, they will be listening to every single beat of the engine, everything that the car is doing, just hoping that nothing can go wrong. Neither driver quite into it could coast home territory just yet, but just a third of the lap remaining. As Rick Breukers heads into the last couple of corners, down into the chicane. Gets the power down now into turn 16 as he comes through. The checker flag is ready and waiting, and victory in the final race of the International GT Open season goes to Rick Breukers and Riccardo Agostini, and he is followed home by our 2018 champion Mikael Mak in the Luzic Racing Ferrari, who celebrate on the pit wall. They have done a superb job all year. They have superbly and supremely managed this weekend. And therefore, Mikael Mak taking the 2018 title. The team celebrate on the pit wall. Christian Hahn has held on for third place overall from Andres Saravia. But now, across the line, comes Bradley Ellis from Tom Onslow Cole. So don't forget, Christian Hahn and Lucas Oyer not points scoring or blocking with that Pro-Am win. So the 10 points go to Ellis, 8 points to Onslow Cole. Now, where is Fabrizio Crestani going to finish in all of this in the Pro-Am class? He crosses the line 4th in the class. And this is, well, once you factor in dropped scores, Ramos and Crestani and Pierberg and Onslow Cole are tied in points in the Pro-Am class, but on the count back of victories, I make it the championship goes to Pierberg and Onslow Cole. However, here is our overall champion, Mikael Mak in the Luzic Racing Ferrari. Couldn't quite take the victory today. Rick Breukers was inspired, but Mak and Pierre Guidi have had an imperious weekend in terms of they have known exactly what they needed to do and have had the car in all the right places at all the right times. For Mikael Mak, it is a well-deserved win, having taken both victories in Estoril at the start of the year, a win at Spa, a win in Monza, and those 4 wins coupled with consistently racking up the points. So look then at the classification. Agostini and Breukers taking the win from Pierre Guidi and Mak, with then Christian Hahn and Lucas Oyer 3rd overall and winning the Pro-Am class from Fran Raider and Andres Saravia. 4th overall, Richard Gonda, Mikkel Jensen in 5th, ahead of Bradley Ellis and Ollie Wilkinson, then Kang Ling and Phil Keane, Valentin Pierberg and Tom Onslow Cole from Chiocci and Griffin. Fabrizio Crestani and Miguel Ramos in 11th, ahead of Marcello Hahn and Alam Kader, then Rinat Salikov and David Perel. Great racing in the AM class as well, claimed again by Stefano Constantini, 18th overall from Lewandowski and Borlenghi, and then Finelli and Deans, 21st overall, 3rd Portiero Motorsport. So a look at the final classification then. Mikael Mak, our champion by 10 points from Saravia and Rueda. Pierre Guidi, 3rd in the standings, ahead of Venturini and Mull. Agostini and Breukers celebrating 5th in the points as well. So Pirelli Racing taking the victory in Barcelona. Smiles all round. They really had to work for that one. This man will also be smiling too. Mikael Mak, fist pumped in triumph. He has won the championship. That's what it means to the team. Christian Hahn receiving congratulations from Marcello Hahn. Brilliant drive from Christian Hahn under pressure. Superb scenes down in Parc Fermé. The celebratory t-shirts all ready to go for Michael Mack. Rick Broikers saying the car was good. That was certainly evident by the performance. And Parc Fermé filling up with very happy drivers. Plenty to celebrate after a long season of racing. Great Pro-Am race as well.
Riccardo Agostini, Rick Broikers, at last. You were very close to victory many times, and this time it's here.
Yeah, it's always nice to end the championship like this with a victory. We've been a bit unlucky the first races. That's why we missed so many points, and yeah, could have been better for sure. But we always got a really good speed in qualifying races. So yeah, we won in the end the team classification, which is yeah, a good thing. But today was really cool. A good start from myself, and then an amazing pace from Rick during his stint. So
Absolutely, Rick, a very nice move after a close duel with the champion.
Yeah, it was really nice. I mean, yesterday we crossed the line first, but we had a penalty, so it feels extra amazing to win today. I know I had to push, and I saw the Ferrari coming close to me, so it was difficult to overtake. But on the end, we made a surprising move, and we finished first.
Well done, guys. Podium now, and straight to the champion, 2018 International GT Open champion, Michael Mack. It's done.
It's done, and I did not do it alone. I had Lutzig Racing together with me, Alessandro Perguidi and Marco Ciocci. They are all the champions, and I'm looking forward to celebrate later today with all the team.
Yeah, deserved, well done. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So as the lights changed, it was Fran Rueda who led away from pole position. Giovanni Venturini as they charged down towards turn one. Sandro Pierguidi and Marcio Basso did battle through the opening sequence. Pierguidi was able to jump ahead of the BMW. That then gave him a chance to challenge as Basso pirouetted into the wall, and that brought out the safety car. It deprived Rueda the opportunity to stretch the field, and an inspired Venturini was then able to find his way past and into the lead. Behind, Damiano Fioravanti, a little bit over-ambitious into turn 10 and into the side of Lorenzo Beiraldiviega, which eventually resulted in both of them retiring from the race. Far from alone as Jerome Mull. Andrea Montermini also entangled, as did Mateusz Lacowski and Mario Plasciuta over at turn one. But at the front of the field, it was Rick Broikers and Michael Mack doing battle for the victory. Broikers determined to take the win to the inside of Michael Mack, but Mack in second position, the head of the BMW, was still poised to take the title as Adrian Zaug and Andrea Montermini also tangled late on. So it was a win for Rick Broikers and Riccardo Agostini. But second position, enough to crown Michael Mack as the 2018 International GT Open champion. third place to Christian Hahn and Lucas Oyer, also winners in the Pro-Am class. So another look at the classifications then. Mikel Mack, 10 points clear of Andres Saravia and Fran Rueda, with Alessandro Pierguidi in third from Venturini and Mull. Breukers and Agostini just 5 points behind them in the event, ahead of Damiano Fioranti. And then in the Pro-Am Championship, Onslow Cole and Valentin Pierberg, the champions, on the basis of the number of victories from Miguel Ramos and Fabrizio Cristani, with Marcello Hahn third in the standings from Ellis and Wilkinson. And then the AM Championship, Andre Lewandowski and Giulio Borlenghi, our champions from Miro Konopka, Marcio Basso and Martin Conrad and Alexandra Raquina. Three very, very hotly contested title races, and bringing to an end what has been a truly superb season of racing in the International GT Open. It all kicks off again though next year, the last weekend of April. We will be back in action, of course, in Paul Ricard. But for now, it is time to turn our attention to the final podium of the season. And third place, Drivex Mercedes, Lucas Oyer and Christian Hahn. Great performances from both men. Runners-up, Mikel Mack and Alessandro Pierguidi. But second in the race, doesn't hurt too much Mack, because that is enough to give him the championship. But the race win to Rick Breukers and Riccardo Agostini, the Imperiale Racing pairing. Superb drive, a great move from Breukers on Mack late on to secure the win. Imperiale Racing to the top step of the podium. The Italian national anthem saluting our race winners. So on to the presentation of the trophies. Oyer and Christian Hahn, delighted with that, particularly Christian Hahn, great performance on his debut weekend in the championship to fend off Saravia late on. Pierguidi and Mikel Mack, the Lusit Racing Ferrari team, celebrating at the end of what has been a hugely successful season. And then Rick Breukers and Riccardo Agostini, our final race winners of the season, after a superb drive in the sunshine in Barcelona. Imperiale Racing taking the victory. It's been a thoroughly entertaining season in the International GT Open. Thank you so much for joining us through the course of the season. We'll see you next year. Goodbye from Barcelona. So on to the Pro-Am podium, and again, a thrilling decider to the Pro-Am Championship as celebrations continue at the foot of the podium for Mikel Mack and Alessandro Pierguidi. So third in the class for Thomas Lecole and Valentin Pierberg, but second in the points, and that was enough with drop scores and victories to see them leapfrog Cristani and Ramos. Runners up, Ellis and Wilkinson, and an absolutely jubilant Christian Hahn. Lucas Oyer to the top step of the Pro-Am podium. So a super weekend for the SPS Automotive pairing. Class victory and a third place finish. Ellis and Wilkinson working hard all weekend. The Automotorsport Audi, and another podium for them, a very successful debut season of international racing, don't forget, for Ollie Wilkinson. And he has consistently been on the Pro-Am podium. Debut weekend in the International GT Open for Christian Hahn, and he gets a third place overall and Pro-Am victory in the season finale. So 6 very happy drivers. Photos posed for. And then time to celebrate, I'd imagine, with the champagne. Obligations done. Time to let rip and celebrate. And congratulations, Thomas Lecole and Valentin Pierberg, having taken the Pro-Am title. And next, it will be time to turn our attention to the AM podium, where Stefano Constantini has done double this weekend in the AM class in the Target Racing Lamborghini. Remarkable performance from Constantini as well, because he has achieved that racing single-handedly. Runners-up, Andrei Lewandowski and Giulio Borlenghi, and third in the AM class, Portiero Motorsport Mercedes of Charles Finelli and Philip Deans. So happy drivers debriefing their race. Hot work for them. So on to the third step of the podium, their debut weekend in the championship for Finelli and Philip Dean. Runners-up and our AM champions for Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, Giulio Borlenghi and Andrei Lewandowski. Superb season for them. The team and drivers entering the International GT Open this year and claiming the AM championship were then Stefano Constantini, twice the AM class winner this weekend for Target Racing, celebrating on the top step of the podium. Dean and Finelli hoist their trophies aloft. Likewise for Borlenghi and Lewandowski. And as Stefano Constantini receives his winner's trophy in the AM class, it's time to say thank you so much for joining us all the way through the 2018 season. We hope that you have enjoyed the action as much as we've all enjoyed bringing it to you. So from everybody in the International GT Open paddock, thank you for your company this year. We look forward to seeing you next season when we kick off in Paul Ricard in April. Until then, it's goodbye from Barcelona.